Bros! So let's talk shop, guys. Shadow Games here had a few tournaments. I understand these were much earlier in the month. Forgive me, I had no internet, so I'm doing it now. They had 3 decks that I wanted to showcase, 2 of which were, I believe, in the same tournament, I think, and one was in a different one. Both the first 2 images I'm going to show you was in this 14-player one, unless, of course, I'm wrong. But either way, showcasing new stuff for the format, always fun. So going into this guy was playing Tribal Synergy, and he was playing Amazons, obviously with the Harpies. That's the whole point of Tribal Synergy skill. So you can draw cards quick, kind of get a curve on your opponent real early. He was playing 2 Sage, which I still think is a fine and dandy card to blow up back row, 3 Sphere Karibo, 3 Windstorm, 3 Trainee, very interesting, 3 Harpy Lady 1, which is obvious, 2 Swordswoman, 3 Eradicating Aerosol, 1 Metalmorph, and 2 Kunai with Chain. I believe that's how he has this set up here. I'm not really sure. He's got the Windstorms up top, so it's kind of tough to see where his divider is for both the side deck versus the main. But we know for a fact that you're playing Harpy Lady 1 in the main if you're playing Tribal Synergy, unless I'm not completely sure how he has this set up. If what I said was correct, then the side deck is 2 ready for intercepting and bird face, although I feel like that's probably not right. What do we got? 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Maybe the Metalmorph. It might be just the Metalmorph in the main, and the sides 2 Kunai, bird face, and 2 ready. And one of the 2 skills, I'm not sure. It's very interesting. But if he's maining Aerosol, I would love to believe that he's also starting with Hidden Parasite as his skill. Recently, Konami documents, policy documents came out for Speed Duels, saying that they don't care on if you have a skill card, you don't have to use the same character as it was originally ruled. So this guy's taking full advantage of Tribal Synergy. I believe in the side deck. If it's not the main, I don't know. This is set up a little awkward to compare, but let's just assume he gets the extra draw power if he needs it. But he plays the Hidden Parasite because it's probably the best skill right now. Being able to use that with 3 Aerosols, which are Dark Hole. It's a pseudo Dark Hole that you end up doing half damage for the rest of the turn. 3 is interesting because obviously you're only going to be able to use 2 with Hidden Parasite, but I understand the logic of wanting to see it more. So it's very interesting. I don't know how to feel about that, because if the plan is if the deck can hold its own when you draw this, when you see this, it's just like an added bonus. Unless a lot of this guy's locals is like Blue Eyes White Dragon, he just wants to blow it up as soon as possible. I'm not exactly sure. But regardless, I do like the list. Metalmorph's a cute card. I feel like Metalmorph is kind of overrated right now, at least price-wise, because while it definitely gives you an advantage, like I think this is probably the best example. It's the best in this deck because with Sage you can run over almost anything and pop it back row, and then with Trainee you can run over almost anything and then shuffle it back into the deck, which I really like. I like both of those options for that. It's a cool deck for sure. We don't really have like a defined meta yet. I know I've been kind of showcasing the same decks. I've been wanting to try to do different things lately. So it all comes down to preference and what we're finding out to be arguably like the best decks. But either way, I think this is a really cool deck. And props to Jose Westtree for creating Tribal Synergy in Format 3 of Speed Duels so far. Next up, it's still Shadow Games. I had to cut the graphic to try to fit this whole thing on the screen, so my bad for that. We have Andre Aguirre. Again, I'm super sorry if I'm butchering people's names here. With GK Stun. I'm assuming this is the same tournament. It's still 14 players. This is first place. I would love to believe the other deck was second, but if I'm wrong, Please forgive me. Either way, this seems really cool. Uh, Hidden Parasite, again, as always, as probably the current best skill in the game, paired up with Gravekeepers. So Gravekeepers already do a really good job at controlling the board, but if for some reason you can't deal with their out ridiculous board, then you aerosol their monsters. And if you aerosol your monster and it's a recruiter, you just kind of gain a free plus. So that's kind of cool. I like this. So he's playing 3 recruiter, 3 ambusher, 1 spear soldier. I like spear soldier. It does the piercing. It's 15. But that's really cool for a lot of decks that, like, if you're kind of controlling the board with this deck and they start setting defenses because they can't play around your stuff, that's when you go in with spear soldier. So I really like that. 2 oracle, 3 Rite of Spirit, 3 Dust Tornado, 3 Kunai with Chain, and 2 Eradicating Aerosol. Dust Tornado seems to be seeing more play. I think that's more because the format's so widespread now that we don't know. It's always good to have some type of spell and trap hate in your main deck, at least in my experience. The Kunais, obviously Kunai is still really good, having 2 effects, either switching something in defense and or boosting your monster by 500. Always good, always clutch. What I really like here is his side deck sides into It's My Lucky Day, which I would still argue is probably the second best skill, and definitely the best skill as a side deck card. I really like this. This guy's taking full advantage of playing arguably the two best skills in the game, main decking a Hidden Parasite and siding It's My Lucky Day, along with 3 Dice Foon, a Gravekeeper's Assailant, which is really strong if Necro Valley's up, and if you can see behind that, there's actually Tomb of the Pharaoh. So this guy's siding 2 skills. I don't think there's a rule against that, so this is really cool. It does take up your side deck space, which is annoying, but if you want to take full advantage of the Gravekeeper effects while Necro Valley is face up on the field, you can do so by doing this. And the Assailant switches things battle positions if you have a Necro Valley face up. So really cool. I really like this. I think GK has always been very good in this game so far. It's a very good control deck because the monsters do what they do, search themselves, and they have their own Call the Haunted. So the rest of your deck can always be control-based cards to keep your opponent at bay. So really good deck. But moving on to what I would say is my favorite of the 3. The Warrior Stun deck. This was a separate tournament. 21 players by Emmanuel Morodi. Once again, sorry if I messed it up. First place. This guy took first place with a Warrior Stun deck. And the deck is 3 Command Knight, 3 Blade Knight, 2 Zombina, 1 Gearfried the Iron Knight, 3 Dust Tornado, 3 Kunai with Chain, 2 Ready for Intercepting, 1 Windstorm of Ataqua, and 2 Eradicating Aerosol. The side deck is 1 Possessed Dark Soul, 1 Man-Eater Bug, 2 more Windstorm, and the Forceful Checkpoint. I gotta believe that this was before they switched the side deck from 5 to 6, or somebody didn't get the memo, and that's what they ran with. But either way, this guy got first, so can't really say anything about that other than congratulations, bro. Blade Knight has his own Warrior Legion basically in this game currently, and Command Knight definitely adds to that, giving all warrior monsters you control a 400 point boost, including itself. So this deck is pumping up beat stick after beat stick. Gearfried should be at least coming out at 18, if not 22 off Command Knight. And Zombina makes it so that everything comes back. What I really like about Zombina right now, and I'm surprised a lot of people aren't playing more of this, is because Aerosol exists in the game. That way, if you're playing Zombina and Aerosol, you can pop your own monster to summon back something else that's a lot stronger while blowing up your opponent's board at the same time. Or if your opponent is playing Aerosol and you're like tiptoeing around it, at least if you have Zombina on board, even if it's face down and they attack into it, you can get back your powerful monsters. So I really like that. I think that has a lot of potential moving forward. Zombina I'm talking about. Just because of Hidden Parasite, and since we're not getting a set 4 for what seems to be 4 months, this is definitely going to be the format for a while. The side deck's interesting. Possessed Dark Soul obviously is for anything level 3 or lower, specifically Relinquished. Windstorm, if probably dealing with a lot of blue eyes. The Forceful Checkpoint's also good against something that always has monsters in hand. Relinquish is something that comes to mind. Maneater Bug is interesting. The only reason I disagree with Maneater Bug here is I think Yomi Ship is a better option. This warrior thing was being played last format a little bit. It was more rogue than anything else, but you would play the one Yomi Ship with Zombina because you can keep bringing back Yomi Ship, and if your opponent kills it with a monster, that monster dies. Whereas Maneater Bug has to be flipped to do something, to pop a monster. Also targets, but if you Zombina it, you can't. It doesn't bring it back face down, so it's not doing anything for you. Obviously, this guy's main thing is he's just Zombinaing his warriors, so he can keep afloat big beefy beatsticks. The only other thing I'd argue is that Gearfried is a pain because anything equipped to it's destroyed. So if you're stuck on Gearfried and Kunai, the Kunai's not going to sit on it, which is really annoying. I understand there's no like other warriors that are stronger than Gearfried right now in the game, but I'd argue you could probably just cut that for something else. Even if you were to play a warrior to Greffer or something, worst case scenario. I'm not saying that's the all end all be all option here. I'd argue you could main the Yomi Ship, but I understand if you want to keep that as a surprise for future games. But all in all, I'm really impressed. This deck's really cool. I've been messing with this after I saw this earlier in the month. I've been messing with it a little bit. Obviously, I'm playing Yomi Ship, if you couldn't guess. And I don't know if I'm maining ready for intercepting. I do like that you can flip your own monsters face down. Flipping Command face down is hilarious in some situations. But I'm kind of taking more advantage of just maining more generic cards. 3 Dust Tornado is a lot, I feel, going into game 1 and not knowing what you're playing against. But assuming your opponent's not playing Blue Eyes, which probably isn't happening anyway now with this Hidden Parasite as a card, Dust Tornado is almost always going to connect regardless of what your opponent has. So I guess it's not, it makes sense that it's not like the end all. So guys, what do you think of these 3 decks? Do you think they're good going into the format? Do you think they could use some improvements? Do you really like the text that they've got? Do you like this one guy that's playing 1 skill and adding 2 more? Do you think that's effective, or do you think that's kind of a waste of a side deck? Let me know in the comments down below. Please comment, like, and subscribe. As always, hit that notification bell to get all of our latest updates. And I hope we can keep getting more deck lists. If you guys want, send in deck lists from tournaments, any of your local tournaments. I'd be happy to feature them on the channel. I really like going over decks in Speed Duels, especially with such what I would currently consider to be a pretty wide format. So anyways, though, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.